Let's jump right into this explainer. We're taking a terrifying, high-stakes medical emergency and turning it into a concrete, actionable playbook. Because look, when seconds count, you absolutely cannot be guessing. You need a mental playbook you can rely on to stop a choking emergency dead in its tracks, and that's exactly what we are going to build today.
So here's our quick roadmap. We're going to cover identifying the threat, the adult standard, special cases, saving infants, when maneuvers fail, and finally, a life-saving recap.
Starting with Section 1, identifying the threat. What exactly are we fighting here?
Okay, medically speaking, we are dealing with FBAO, which stands for Foreign Body Airway Obstruction. Simply put, it's when something, like a chunk of food, what we often call a food bolus, gets lodged right in the upper airway. We're talking the throat, trachea, or pharynx. It's a purely physical blockage, stopping oxygen from getting to the lungs, which means we need a physical, mechanical solution to fix it.
But you gotta know, not all choking is the exact same. There's a massive difference between a mild and severe obstruction. If someone is coughing loudly, that's mild. And here's the wild part, if they have a strong, loud cough, physical maneuvers are actually contraindicated. You literally just let their body do its thing. Do not intervene. But if that cough goes silent, it's ineffective, or you hear this high-pitched whistling sound called stridor, that is a severe obstruction, and you have to act immediately.
So how do you know for sure it's severe? Well, look for these specific red flags. If they're clutching their neck with both hands, that's the universal choking sign. They literally won't be able to speak or cry because there's absolutely no air moving across their vocal cords. You might also see intense panic, respiratory distress, and cyanosis, which is that scary bluish tint to the skin when oxygen levels drop. If you see this, hesitation is totally off the table. It's go time.
Which brings us to Section 2, the adult standard, the Heimlich maneuver.
Here's the exact procedure. First, get a really solid stance and wrap both your arms completely around the person's waist from behind. Make a fist with your dominant hand and grab it with your other hand. Placement is everything here. Put the thumb side of that fist directly against their abdomen. You want it right above the belly button, but definitely below the xiphoid process. You know, that little bony tip at the bottom of the breastbone. Once you're set, deliver really quick, powerful inward and upward thrusts. Think of scooping in a J shape. You just keep doing that until the air in their lungs literally pops that blockage right out.
Moving on to Section 3, Special Cases. Modified chest thrusts.
Now, what if you're helping a pregnant woman or an extremely obese patient? You absolutely cannot use the standard Heimlich. Pushing hard on the abdomen in those cases is either highly unsafe or just won't work. Instead, you've got to pivot immediately to chest thrusts.
So how does that change things? Well, instead of the stomach, your target moves up. Place your hands squarely on the lower half of their sternum, roughly 1 to 2 inches above that xiphoid process. You're still giving those sharp, powerful inward thrusts, but you're doing it right against the chest bone rather than the soft tissue of the abdomen to deliver those life-saving compressions safely.
All right, Section 4, Saving Infants, the under 1-year-old protocol.
Now, you might be thinking, hey, why not just do a super gentle Heimlich on a choking baby? It sounds logical, right? Just scale the pressure down? Well, absolutely not. No way. And here's exactly why. A baby's anatomy is vastly different from ours. Their liver and upper abdominal organs are proportionally huge, and they are basically unprotected by their tiny developing rib cages. If you apply abdominal pressure, even a little bit, you could cause severe, totally fatal organ ruptures. So the Heimlich is 100% off the table for infants. Instead, I want you to sear this one number into your brain right now. 5. When it comes to babies, 5 is the magic number.
Here's how it works. First, sit or kneel down so you're stable. Lay the baby face down right along your forearm. You have to support their head and jaw firmly with your hand, but please be incredibly careful not to squeeze their throat. Keep their head angled lower than their chest. We want gravity helping us pull that object out. Then, use the heel of your free hand to give up to 5 really firm back slaps directly between their shoulder blades.
If that doesn't do the trick, carefully flip the baby over, cradling the back of their head with your free forearm. Again, keep the head lower than the torso. Now, take 2 or 3 fingers, usually your index and middle fingers, and place them on the lower half of the sternum. Give 5 sharp downward chest thrusts, pushing about 1.5 inches deep. You just keep repeating this cycle, 5 back slaps, flip, 5 chest thrusts, over and over until that airway is perfectly clear.
Section 5, when maneuvers fail, the escalation.
This is a terrifying reality, but we have to talk about it. There is one absolute non-negotiable rule here. If you've been doing these thrusts and the patient, whether it's a grown man, a pregnant woman, or a tiny infant, becomes completely unresponsive, you must stop the choking maneuvers and start CPR immediately. If they lose consciousness, they've been without oxygen way too long. Chest compressions are now the absolute requirement to keep their blood moving and might even help force that object out.
Finally, Section 6, Life-Saving Recap, your mental checklist.
Let's lock this in really fast. Loud cough? That's mild. Do not intervene. Silent cough or universal choking signs? Act right now. For standard adults, use the J-shaped Heimlich abdominal thrusts. For obese or pregnant patients, switch to sternum chest thrusts. For infants under 1 year old, remember the magic rule of 5. 5 back slaps, 5 chest thrusts, always keeping the head lower than the chest. And universally, if anyone becomes unresponsive, start CPR immediately.
So, there it is. This explainer has given you the exact playbook from the medical notes to handle a terrifying choking crisis. You know the steps, you know the exceptions, and you know the why behind all of it. So I'll leave you with this final thought. If a choking emergency happens right in front of you today, in a restaurant or at home, are you ready to act?